Hello, everyone. Hello. What is it? We are back to do a breakdown for the first numbered event of the year, UFC 324. Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. Okay, for the interim title. It's kind of weird to say that, to be honest, because both of these fighters are, in my opinion, do not deserve this. But we are where we are. And we'll talk about that a little more, why I believe that they got this shot. Name value, things like that. It's clear why. They want to start the year off with a lot of eyes on the event. I think this card is pretty good. I think this card is pretty good top to bottom. There's some great fights. The pay-per-view, the main event sure could have been better. We lost the man in Nunes versus Kayla Harrison. So we lost some name value there, but I think this is a banger card. I think this card is going to deliver, and we're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. I have not done a lot of research, but I know all these fighters, right? So we know all these fighters. We know what they've done, but I didn't necessarily do as much in-depth research to kind of see the angles. So we're going to do a lot of talking here. We're going to do a lot of talking. So listen, Justin Gaethje, right? He beats Fiziev. He lost to Max. He beat just Dustin Poirier. Beat Fiziev. So he has two wins over Fiziev in his last four. So three. He was three of his last four. Got this, in my opinion, got beat badly by Max. Brutalized by Max. From start to finish. I mean, Max busted up his nose in the first round and was just styling on him throughout the fight. Was faster, more powerful, better footwork, better distance management, just better everywhere. And I think that that's going to be a problem, you know, when you fight a guy like Pimblett. Because listen, I know Pimblett's a little bit different. He's a lot different, but those leg kicks were very, very good, man, versus Chandler. And I know Chandler is not Gaethje, and I know Chandler is not the caliber of a Fiziev, um, as far as striking is concerned, in my opinion, or even Bobby Green, where Pimblett was just destroying Bobby Green's legs. But I think it's more to it than just. I think again, styles makes fights. I think that with Paddy Pimblett, he has an awkward, quirky, weird stance. But he has an ability to land that leg kick. And it's worked. I mean, even though the name value on his resume, Chandler, Bobby Green, Tony Ferguson, old Tony Ferguson, Jared Gordon, which I think he might have lost that fight. He submitted Jordan Levitt, which is a good win, but not high caliber. He hasn't really beaten anybody top of the food chain, right? So when you look at Paddy Pimblett, you're immediate. You're like, does this guy even deserve a title shot? And the win's his best win. I mean, Michael Chandler. I don't even know which one is. I would say Michael Chandler's his best win. Is an old Michael Chandler, very old Michael Chandler, and then the rest of the guys are very old. Bobby Green, old, 38, 39. Chandler's like 37. Tony Ferguson was like way out of his prime. You know what I mean? So his best wins are against guys that just either were way out of their prime or just not at all top five cal. I don't. He has no wins in the top five. When you look at the top five, these guys that what you see, Armin. I think Armin beats Paddy. I think Ilya beats Paddy. I think Max beats Paddy. You know what I'm saying? I think Charles beats Paddy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you look at the top five and you're just like, okay, how would he do against those guys? Um, so when you look at this fight, you got to think that. The thing about Pimblett too is he has horrible striking defense. He gets hit a lot. He was getting lit the fuck up by Jared Gordon. Michael Chandler was landing on him. Tony Ferguson dropped him. You know what I'm saying? So he gets hit a lot, and Gaethje has power. We saw good boxing, very good boxing. We saw him duck under a lot of Fiziev's strikes, and Fiziev is incredibly fast. He's a Muay Thai guy, trains out of the same gym as Jan. Um, so Fiziev is a very, very good striker, and we saw Gaethje, utilize dirty boxing, and things like that to kind of get that win. The head kick versus Dustin. So it's like it's. I think that there's opportunities there for Gaethje on the feet, but the thing about it is, and this is the thing, he has to keep it on the feet. I just think that Paddy has this weird ability to get to the fight to the ground. He's not a great takedown artist with like double blast, double legs or single legs or chain wrestling or anything like that. But there's always the fight just gets to the ground somehow with this guy. And he's elite on the ground, man. He wrapped Michael Chandler up like a boa constrictor and beat the shit out of him. Beat the fucking dog shit out of that man on the ground. Beat the hell out of him. Michael Chandler had no idea what to do. That body triangle had him lost. He was spinning, confused, just taking damage. He was getting beat the fuck up. We saw Bobby Green get wrapped up like a boa constrictor, twisted into a pretzel by Paddy Pimblett. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like Paddy just has this ability to get the fights to the ground, and we saw Gaethje. We know that the Fiziev takedown when he got taken down by Fiziev, it wasn't necessarily he got caught off guard. Gaethje has very good takedown defense, so I don't see Paddy Pimblett going in there just taking him down on any type of offensive like I'm going in for a double leg, single leg, I'm gonna chain wrestle, I'm gonna do some trips. I don't see any of those things happening because Gaethje does have great initial takedown defense. But if some sort of scramble happens, both of these guys like their leg kicks. If both of these guys throw a leg kick and they fall or they trip over themselves, or Paddy has a very goofy style and his footwork is goofy and all these things, and I could see a scenario where these guys get into a scramble and they trip over each other, or you know what I mean, something along the lines of that, and the fight gets to the ground. I think that Gaethje would be fucked. I don't see this going well for Gaethje if the fight gets to the ground in any way, shape, or form. I think that Paddy's very, very good on the ground. He's a very good jiu-jitsu artist, But I'm also having a hard time seeing the fight get to the ground with a guy like Gaethje, who has the ability to stay on his feet. He's known for that, right? He has good wrestling in the way of takedown defense, and keeping the fight on the feet. And let's be honest, if the fight stays on the feet, there is a world where I see Justin just knocking Paddy's head right off his shoulders. But then you look at how effective um, Paddy was with the leg kicks versus Chandler. He looked better versus Chandler on the feet than Gaethje did versus Chandler. Gaethje finished him on the feet, I believe it was. He got the TKO, but Paddy was chewing his leg up badly, man. Paddy has like a 3-inch reach advantage, I think it is. He not nothing crazy. I think who's taller? I think maybe Paddy's like an inch taller. They're very similar in attributes. Um, yeah, this one's a hard one. This one's a hard one because it's there's no I don't see a definitive way where either guy gets to what they want. Like when I say that, I mean like for on the feet, for example, Paddy looks his leg kicks are effective. They're very, very good. You understand what I'm saying? So can he keep distance? Can he keep rangy versus a Gaethje and chop at his legs? Okay, but then you look at the other side. Gaethje just obviously the boxing is better. He's way better with the hands. He's way more proven on the feet. He's knocked out way better guys on the feet. Like, I mean, he's fought better competition. Dustin, Fiziev, Charles. You know what I'm saying? He's fought, great opposition on the feet, and he's had way more success versus top flight competition than he fought Tony in Tony's prime, took Tony out of his prime, some would say. Um, so when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, on the feet, which way am I gonna go? But then if you look on the ground too, it's like, okay, Gaethje has incredible takedown defense initially, right? But if the fight gets to the ground, I think Gaethje is absolutely fucked. Fiziev had Gaethje in trouble when he took him down. He had him in trouble. So if there's some sort of awkward scramble and the fight gets to the ground, um, do we see Paddy get the win? Listen, I'm gonna go because I think that there's a chance that this may go to decision. Right? I know a lot of people are screaming finish. I think that this fight is gonna go to decision, and I'm gonna go Paddy on a. It's gonna be a close fight. Um, it's gonna be a close fight, but I'm gonna say this is gonna be a fight where it looks like Gaethje wins, but they give it to Paddy because obviously the story's written. We want Paddy versus Ilya. That's what they want, you know. And I'm gonna say it's gonna be a close fight. I'm gonna say both guys are gonna have success. I think that we're gonna see Paddy have a better chin than a lot of people are saying that he's just gonna get tuned up on the feet. But I think he's gonna be able to keep range. His goofy, wonky style is gonna keep him alive. I think that there's gonna be scenarios where he has Gaethje's back, or maybe they get into a scramble and they're on the floor, and he keeps control. But Gaethje survives. I think that's how the fight's gonna go. I don't see a definitive path for either guy to get any type of dominant victory in the way of a submission or a KO. Like, could it happen? 100%. 100%. But I'm going to go a decision. And I think Paddy Pimblett is going to win a very close, some people are going to scream robbery. I think Paddy Pimblett will get a decision victory in this. And we're going to see Paddy Pimblett versus Ilya Topuria once Ilya gets the victory, the W versus his ex-wife. I think she's ex now. I think they're divorced. I don't know if they're divorced, but whatever. Once Ilya gets that victory, he's gonna come back. He's gonna be on a two-fight win. Well, he hasn't defended his title yet, has he? No, but he's gonna get his first his title defense versus his ex-wife, and then he's gonna come and get his second defense versus I think Paddy Pimblett. He knocks out Paddy, and I think we see Islam versus Ilya in the very near future. I think that's what happens. So that's my prediction for the main event. Listen, it can go. It could. I just see a world. Like, I think the storyline's been written. It's clear that the Paramount deal, they want more viewership. I think if this fight's close in any way, shape, or form, it goes to decision in any way, shape, or form, I think we're going to see Paddy get his hands raised. It's not like Gaethje is some knockout, one shot knockout dead artist anyway. We saw Pimblett eat shots from Chandler. Got dropped. Eat shots from Jared Gordon. He's gotten dropped by guys like Tony Ferguson. We've seen Paddy's chin tested, and Gaethje, like I said, is not some sort of like one shot dead knockout artist. It usually takes an accumulative amount of damage. Um, you know, again with the uncertainty of no guy is really way more dominant than the other in whatever they're good at. Meaning, I think Gaethje's defensive wrestling can offset Paddy Pimblett's grappling a little bit enough, and I think that Paddy Pimblett's range and distance management and awkward fighting style, leg kicks, I think is gonna be able to offset Gaethje enough to make this fight go to a decision, and I think it's gonna be close, and I think we're gonna see Paddy Pimblett get his hands raised. A lot of people are gonna scream robbery, but I think that's what we're going to see. The storyline's written. I think the viewership UFC wants they need to deliver on that. So I think having a Pimblett versus Ilya fight that where the feud's already been brewing a lot, I think that Paddy versus Ilya would deliver the numbers, which is what the UFC needs. I think we're going to start to see a lot more of that, unfortunately. And yeah, so that's my prediction. Okay, and that's why I'm predicting what I'm predicting. So if you have any I'm curious to hear what you think about that, man. I'm really curious to hear what you think about that because, yeah, I think Gaethje will be Paddy's best win. I don't think, again, it's gonna be a questionable win. But at least it's gonna be a name, a good name, a top five guy for a Pimblett. So yeah. Anyways, on to the next one: Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. Okay. I have been speaking very well about Song Yadong for a while. I think that he's 28, man. The guy is 28. Oh, I think the rest of the top five, if you look at it, Marab's mid 30s. You got Jan is the champ. I think Jan's around maybe a couple years older than Yadong. I think Jan is about 32. I think Sean O'Malley is like 31 or 30 or something like that. You know what I mean? So when you look at the Umar, I think Umar might be around the same age as Song Yadong. So when you look at the top five, a lot of these guys, Song Yadong's a little younger than a lot of these guys. So I think Song Yadong, man, I think he's eventually going to be the champ at some point. I think he's very, very, very good, man. Very good boxing. We saw him strike with Jan. You know, Jan mixed it up very well, which he does normally, which is why he's the champ. Jan mixes it up very, very well to get a nice victory versus Song Yadong, but he had to mix in the takedowns. You know what I mean? Corey, the same thing with Corey. Corey had to mix in the grappling when he got the victory over Song Yadong. I think Song Yadong's dangerous. I think he's young. He's still growing. He's still working on those things. So him getting taken down, I think is going to happen a lot less moving forward. You know, he's got a lot of power. He's extremely fast. He is, if you look at it, he beats Cejudo. I didn't like that fight, by the way, and that's why You'll see once I continue to break this fight down a little bit more, you'll start to. I didn't like the Cejudo fight, man. Cejudo looked really good in that fight. Um, I think Yadong was winning, but Cejudo was landing a lot of good shots on Yadong, man. Whereas we just saw Cejudo get brutalized by Peyton Talbot badly. I mean, fucking destroyed by Peyton Talbot. Um, so I didn't like the way he wins on an eye poke, where Cejudo, if Cejudo really wanted to, could have just milked it and got a win that way, like if he really wanted to. So I'm not saying that the Song Yudong got the win, right? But I didn't like how he got that win. I didn't like how he looked in that fight. He looked hesitant. He looked like he was waiting for something a lot, and you can't do that versus O'Malley. O'Malley is a sniper. The footwork on O'Malley is insane. It's incredible. I think O'Malley has this unique ability to dance around the octagon. He circles off when he comes in on his strikes. He likes that fadeaway right cross. He loves that teep kick. He loves that the knee stomp. He loves to pepper you up, and he has power. He's extremely fast. Both of these guys are fast. Both of these guys have power. Um, it's the footwork for an O'Malley though, man. I didn't like how uh, Sean looked versus Marab in the second fight, or even the first fight. He just looks hesitant, very hesitant in that fight. And I will tell you this: if Song Yadong comes in there and gets a dominant takedown, we will see O'Malley on his back foot. We will see that hesitation start to creep in because in the first fight versus Marab, Sean O'Malley wanted none of that smoke. When it came to like being his normal self, blitzing in, throwing those teep kicks, throwing those right crosses, and just setting up the hands the way he likes to do. We didn't see vintage Sean in there, and it was because of the threat of the takedown. So if we see a Song Yadong come in now and get a dominant takedown, get some dominant control time in the first round, we may see. I think this is a 3-round fight because yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a 3-round fight. But if we see Song Yadong get a dominant takedown, that could spell a lot of trouble for Sean O'Malley the rest of the fight, because that's going to be in the back of his mind, which is why Murad was able to dominantly beat him in both his fights. We saw Peter Yan, and I'm going to speak on this Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley fight because, like, at first I thought it was a blatant robbery in the favor of Sean O'Malley. But when you go back and look at the fight, the first round was the round, and that was a very close round. It could have went either way. They gave it to O'Malley. O'Malley did land some good shots in the first round. He really did. Do I still think that Yan won? I do, but it wasn't the robbery that I thought it was initially. But in that fight, Yan mixed in the takedowns and he pressured Sean O'Malley, which I think Song Yadong is going to do. So you have a guy in Song Yadong who has good boxing, who's powerful, who has the ability to mix in takedowns. He doesn't have it the way Yan does, where he's going to trip you and do all those things, but he has the ability to shoot. Okay, which I think we will see. And if he's able to get a dominant takedown, um, I think we're gonna see Sean O'Malley on the back foot in this fight, and I think we're gonna see Sean O'Malley extremely worried about that in this fight, and I don't like that. It's a hard fight to pick because again, you don't know what that's gonna look like, right? Are we gonna see Song Yudong hesitant out there? right? Are we gonna see him hesitant right there? And the thing about Song Yadong too that I don't like, and the reason why I'm gonna go O'Malley in this fight is because I feel like he takes pictures sometimes. So he doesn't have a crazy output. You know what I mean? It's he's not. I think that Sean O'Malley's footwork is gonna give him trouble, right? Sean O'Malley's footwork is gonna give him trouble, and I don't like that. I don't like that. That he's kind of like, I'm gonna walk you down, which is why I think that Cejudo was able to have the success that Cejudo was able to have. I think that Cejudo, with Song Yadong just walking Cejudo down, Cejudo was able to time some of his blitzing entries, which is what he was doing a lot. He was blitzing and tagging Song Yadong. And this is a short, stocky Cejudo. We have a long, rangy guy in Sean O'Malley that's going to be using his football to circle off and land these um, these hard, sharp, stabbing strikes from range. You know what I'm saying? With a guy in Song Yadong who's marching forward. If he doesn't, I don't think he's gonna be able to cut off the cage versus versus Sean O'Malley because the way Sean circles off when he's exiting on his strikes. I don't think Song's gonna be able to cut the cage enough. You know what I mean? We have seen Sean slow down a little bit. You know when he fought like Cheeto. Um, we did some slow down a little bit towards the end, and Cheeto was able to catch him early. Cheeto started having more success later in the fight, but I don't know. You know, Cheeto's chin is different. Cheeto ate some bombs in that fight. Can Song Yadong take the same amount of damage that Cheeto Vera did? I don't think so, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen Song Yadong knocked out. Yeah, I mean, but to take that type of damage, I just don't know. I'm not saying he will. Ah, man. And how do I believe Sean O'Malley wins this fight? I just think he's gonna pepper him, man. I think Song Yadong's gonna have some moments of success, especially later in the fight. But this is not a 5 round fight. If this was a 5 round fight, I'm leaning Yadong more because Song Yadong does have good cardio. He does have good. He picks up as the fight. He has the ability to carry his power throughout the fight, the speed and all those things throughout the fight. He doesn't necessarily like again. He doesn't have high output, so he doesn't slow down tremendously. Like we see Sean O'Malley slow down. We've seen him slow down a bit more than we've seen Song Yadong slow down. But this is a 3 round fight, so I have to go O'Malley here. I think O'Malley's footwork is just going to be a little bit too much, especially early. I think he's gonna be able to land a lot more. I think he's a lot fast. I think he's just a lot. His timing's better. Okay, his timing's better. Again, Song Yudong, I do believe, takes pictures too much. He tries to cut the cage. He does not stop moving forward. I don't know if that's a good recipe for Song Yudong. Now, if I don't know that his wrestling is on the level of a Marab or a Yan, and Sean O'Malley does not have horrendous takedown defense. It's not like his takedown defense is non-existent. It's just that when you are going against a guy like Peter Yan and a guy like Corey Sanhagen and a guy like Sean Marab, who are elite takedown artists, who do mix it up when it comes to takedowns a lot, way more than Song Yadong. You know, they have way better entries on takedowns than Song does. They're timing on entries. They're slipping shots and going in on a double leg or tripping or you know what I'm saying, doing things like that to get takedowns. That's what those guys are masterful at. Rob's just a freak alien that just keeps going and going and going. You understand? So those guys are gonna get Sean. Can Song Yadong do that? I don't know. And if he does it, is he gonna do it dominantly enough to put severe doubt, the doubt that Marab put in Sean O'Malley's mind? Does he have it to do that? Because even in the Peter Yan fight, Yan was able to get Sean down, but Sean still got off his offense, was able to get back up and things like that. So This is a very, very interesting fight. I am gonna go Sean O'Malley just because I think that the footwork, I think the timing on his entries, the circling off when he's coming out. I think Song Yadong kind of just marches forward, and again, both guys are powerful, both guys are fast, both guys are very athletic. But I just think that Sean's style is gonna be a little bit too much for Song to handle unless Song can get dominant takedowns. I think Sean O'Malley is the best striker in one of the best strikers in the entire UFC. I think he's a better striker than Jan in the division. And after we're going back and watching him fight Jan, I came to that conclusion. I think Sean O'Malley is the best striker in this division. Um, and Song Yadong is good as well, but I think Sean is very, very good on the feet, man. Very, very good on the feet. And unless you have the ability to do what Marab did to him, or what Jan was doing to him, mix it up. Because I do think if Song's able to mix it up, I do think that Song is more powerful than Jan and could catch Sean and hurt him badly. But I don't know that he has the grappling to be able to, the dominant grappling to be able to do so. So I am gonna go Sean O'Malley in this fight, and I'm gonna say Sean by decision. I can't see either guy getting knocked out. Song will be champ. I'm gonna say this. I think Song will be champ. He hasn't looked good against the top guys. Like Corey beat him, Jan beat him. He hasn't looked good against the top guys, but I do think he's very, very good, man. I do think he will be champ one day. He's very young, 28 years old. He still has 2 years before he hits 30. We may see him become champ before he's 30, but I don't think the time is now. He's not going to be Sean, in my opinion, unless, again, he's able to get a dominant takedown and really put doubt in Sean's mind early, very early, to where it can impact his actual striking, because I think Sean's striking is that good. On to the next, we got Waldo Cortes Acosta versus Derrick Lewis. Man, Waldo's on a run, man. Beat Shamil Gaziev badly, brutalized him, KO'd him. Ante Deliha KOs him. He lost to Pavlovich, beat Spivak, beat Span, beat the Spain. Um, People don't know the Spain, Rebels to Spain is over wrecking shop in another. He's training with Alex Pereira in another promotion. He's like knocking guys out. When he came to the UFC, he was he was dead shotting a lot of guys, and people thought that he was gonna dead shot Waldo Cortes Acosta. Cortes Acosta goes in there and just dominates him on the ground, racks up some great wins. He's I think he's fought six fights within a year, not in a calendar year, but six fights within a year. I think he's had. So he's on a wild run. He beats Derrick Lewis. I think he may be next, man. You think he may be next, unless Pavlovich goes in there and gets like a dominant win versus someone else. But Pavlovich hasn't even fought once since Waldo Cortez Acosta's fought him, and I think Waldo's fought like two or three times. This will be the third fight since he's fought Pavlovich. So you know Waldo's on a run, man, and he's fighting the number one knockout artist in the entire UFC's history. Derrick Lewis has the most knockouts in the UFC's history. I think he's at like 16 or 17. And Derrick Lewis can catch anyone. I didn't think he was going to beat Talson Teixeira. I knew he was going to beat Rodrigo Nascimento, who's a plumber. But I did not think he was going to be Taliesin. I thought Talison's striking was good. I think his footwork was good. He's younger. He's more, he's rangier. I thought Taliesin was going to have his way, but Derrick Lewis blitzes in and does Derrick Lewis things. I mean, we've seen Derrick come back from behind, do things like just get up from the ground after being taken down when he wants to. Just, Derrick Lewis has he has moments where he just shows up out of nowhere and just like will get a KO, or you know what I mean. Um, so Derrick Lewis has some great wins in his career. Very, very, very good wins. Very, very underrated resume. I think Derrick Lewis, he gets a win over Waldo, man. Derrick Lewis is an all-time. Listen, I'm not saying he's like top five, but I would consider putting Derrick in the top 10 heavyweights ever. You know what I mean? I really would. I mean, if you think about it, let's see here. Let me cheat a little bit. Let me go to my handy dandy notebook here. If we look at Derrick Lewis, right? He has wins. Okay, the Taliesin Sixers win I think is gonna age well. Um, Obviously, he beat I'm going far back here. So he cursed Blades was a very good win in my opinion. Very, very good win. I thought that the Volkov win is very, very good. The Ngannou win is kind of like because it was a horrible fight, but he still beat Ngannou. You know, Marcin Tybura is a good win. You know what I'm saying? So the Roy Nelson was a good win. So if he comes in here and he gets a win over um he gets a win over Waldo, I mean, his resume is pretty good is all I'm saying. With him being the all-time KO artist ever, things like that. I mean, he has the accolades. I think that Derrick Lewis with a win over Caldo, you'll start to talk, and then he'll probably be in the mix for the title shot too as well. And with heavyweight being what heavyweight is right now, who knows, man? Really, who knows? So um, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Waldo though. I think Waldo's just better every single possible place area ever. Versus Derrick Lewis. I think Derrick Lewis, the only thing he has is probably the punching power, the KO power. But I do think that Waldo's just better everywhere. So I'm gonna pick Waldo to if he has to mix it up and take Derrick down. I think he can do it. He's gonna stay rangy. He's gonna stay out of the way of some of Derrick's power, and I think he's going to. I think he's gonna finish Derrick with ground and pound. He's gonna take him down and finish him with the ground and pound. All right, we are on to the next one. Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Now listen, I'm gonna rant about Rose Namajunas here for a second. She's my favorite women's fighter. I'm gonna come out and say it. She's my favorite women's fighter ever. And although she's a two-time champion, Rose's career has, in my opinion, fallen short of what her potential is. Listen, strawweight Rose was a fucking problem, man. She was Ranger. She beat. Listen, Zhang Wei Li. She has 2 wins over Zhang Wei Li. That alone, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. You know what I'm saying? 2 wins over Joanna. Stop two dominant fighters who are on women's goat, everyone's women's goat list. You understand what I'm saying? Goes into the Carla Esparza fight, listens to fucking instead of listening to Trevor Whitman, she listens to fucking I don't even remember what her fucking man's name is, and fights the dumbest fucking fight ever. Rose Namajunas is better than Carla Esparza every, including wrestling. I think she's better. So for her to go in there and do absolutely fucking nothing versus Carla Esparza is insane. So she wins versus Carla Esparza. Now Rose is on Whaley's doing what Whaley did. The run. So she beats Carla Esparza, she gets a couple more wins. Now she's fighting Valentina. She has a lengthy streak instead of a one and done. She wins the belt, defends it, and then loses it. She may have gone on a 2 or 3 fight win streak. The Jessica Andrade fight gets picked up and slammed on her head. Listen, she was dominating Jessica in that fight. Um, and the point I'm just trying to make is Rose is gonna go down as a what if, even though she's still one of the best ever. Viewed right now as one of the best ever, she's still a what if. That is how good Rose Namajunas is. A lot of people want to write her off now because she goes up to flyweight. She's losing to she lost to what's that big man woman, Manon. She lost to Manon. You know what I'm saying? She lost to, what was the other shorty's name that she just lost to? I'm gonna cheat real quick. She loses to Aaron Blanchfield. You know what I'm saying? So Rose is still young, but I'm still ranting. She had a chance to win 4 or 5 in a row at strawweight. Both times she won the title. Both times, right? She would do dumb shit like win the belt, lose the belt, and disappear for fucking like a year and a half, 2 years. Like Rose is even to this day being viewed the legend that she is. Two-time champion, beat some of the greatest women's fighters ever. Is still a what if. Still a what if. As long as Rose has been fighting, she's been fighting for like 12 years. She's only like 15. She's only had like I think 20 fights or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? So it's like my point that I'm trying to make is I Rose, you're still young. You're still young. You still have a chance to go down to strawweight, and Whaley's probably gonna win the title back. Go back, beat Whaley a third time, and really cement, become a three-time champion, first ever woman to win the belt three times, and let that be you'll go out and then go out that way and still be relevant as one of the best, maybe the best strawweight ever. If you win a title a third time, you beat Whaley three times, you're the best strawweight ever, by far, in my opinion. But staying at flyweight. Now, I'm not saying I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and say Rose cannot um, ever contend for a title at flyweight because she's that good. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm not one of those guys that are just writing her off and her career's behind her. No, she's 32 years old. Um, the stars do have to align, so this should tell you who I'm gonna pick. The stars do have to align for her to beat Natalia Silva. I think Natalia Silva is all world, but had Rose moved up 2 years earlier, gone on a longer run at strawweight and moved up 2 years earlier, didn't take these long gaps in between losses because of her fucking mental issues, you fucking dumb. Okay, let me not go there. Okay, had those things never. I'm ranting because I'm a huge fan, and we don't see. No one really cares about women's MMA too this much, but I actually fuck with Rose, man. I really do. And she goes up 2 years earlier. Who knows? She probably could have. The stars could have aligned when she fights a Valentina and she gets a knockout like Alexa Grasso did, or gets like a submission and falls into a rear naked choke and beats a Valentina. Has Valentina resume now. She has Valentina, Wuzong Weili, and Joanna and Jessica Andrade in her prime on her resume. Those type of things could have happened for Rose. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that you still have a chance to go down and you lose this fight, entertain the idea of going back down, man. Because I still think you're that good. You're going to be bigger than those women. You're going to be ranger. You're going to be stronger. You have way more knockout power at strawweight. You know what I mean? You got a much needed break and from weight cutting for like 5 fights in a row now. So go back down and give it another shot, man. They'll probably throw you right into a title fight especially if Whaley wins. The storyline would be there. I just don't know. Natalia Silva is just so good. Her footwork, what Rose is good at, Natalia I think is just better at. I mean the footwork. I think Rose might be the better boxer, but Natalia Silva's dancing out there. Her footwork is elite. Her takedown defense is elite, which I don't know. I don't think that Rose is going to be able to get her down. Now, Rose does have very good setups on her takedowns, so she likes to duck under strikes and get the takedowns that way. But I just don't know. I think Natalia is just very, 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 very good. I think Natalia Silva wins this fight. But if she doesn't, if she doesn't, they're going to give Rose a title shot. They very clearly want Rose in the mix because she loses to Manon, and then she goes on a two-fight win streak. She loses to Erin Blanchfield. She beats Miranda Maverick. Now she's right back in there with a Natalia Silva who's won like 6 or 7 fights in a row. You know what I mean? So they very clearly want Rose in the mix. Um, if the stars align and she finds a way to get it done, get it done versus um, Natalia Silva, uh, boy oh boy. Natalia Silva will go down. We'll put Rose right back into to GOAT conversation. Right back in the GOAT conversation. That would be a very, very good win, especially because a win over Natalia Silva is going to age very, very well. Natalia Silva will be champion. It's inevitable, I think. Um, So yeah, but I'm gonna put Natalia Silva, man. I think Natalia Silva is just very good looking as well, extremely good looking. But I just think that she's a little bit better than Rose, especially at this stage everywhere. I'm very curious to see Rose's game plan though. Rose is historically has shown an ability to game plan very well for these fights. So I'm very curious to see what Rose comes out with. Being a former champion, see what she pulls out of her hat. But I'm picking Natalia Silva. Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. Listen, Gene Silva is very good. Arnold Allen hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. It's really been 2 years. I don't know what he's been doing. He gets hurt a lot and injured in a lot of his fights, but he hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. That's not good, man. That's not good, bro. Not good. Gene Silva was beating Diego Lopez's ass before he got caught with that spinning elbow. Beating the fucking shit out of him, the dog shit out of him, beating his ass, right? Yes, Diego Lopez took him down in the first round and controlled him, beat the shit out of him on the ground, battered him on the ground. But once the second round started, Gene Silva was landing some bombs that would put a lot of people away, and I think one of those bombs is going to put Arnold Allen away. I don't want to get too much into this. This video is going way longer than the first three fights took 40 minutes, right? So I think that Arnold Allen is very good, man. He beats a game Dan Hooker, beats more prime Calvin Kattar, beat a City Yusuf, good win. Giga Chikadze was giving him trouble in the first round until he beats up on Giga, showing great cardio. The close fight with Max, arguable robbery versus Elbuev. Arnold Allen's good. I just think that Gene Silva is going to be champ. I still think Gene Silva is going to be champ. I'm staying on that bandwagon. Gene Silva is extremely good everywhere. He's very fast, very powerful, very athletic. He is he's so good everywhere that it's like, that choke that he got versus Bryce, the way he beat Melsick, he's so good everywhere that I think that people don't know what to do. And I think that even Diego Lopez was struggling with Gene Silva. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I think Gene Silva may dominate Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen is game though, man. So he'll make it competitive. He'll find a way to make it interesting. But Gene Silva is just very good. I think Gene Silva is gonna have his way in this fight, and I see Gene Silva coming out with a finish. Second round, he's gonna knock him out with something devastating. You know, I hope that Gene Silva, after Diego Lopez, I think that you go into that fight, stop with the stupid emoting and stupid. You're very talented. You don't need to do those things. You're now fighting the top echelon of the division. Arnold Allen, Diego Lopez. These guys are different than the Mel Six, than the even the Drew Dobers of the world. Bryce Mitchell's. You're now fighting Diego Lopez. You're now fighting guys like that. You have to get away from the emoting. Go in there, lock the fuck in, and knock these people out. Like you are very capable of doing. You were landing some shots on Diego Lopez that had the round. Had you escaped that round, I don't know how Diego Lopez would survive. I really don't, because his chin's amazing, but how much of those shots can you take, man? So lock the fuck in, Gene Silva, and let's go take that belt. That is, you should have already been in. You should be the one in there versus Diego Lopez versus Evoke, like I predicted last year, or whenever I started this channel. But you fumbled. That was a fumble. Okay, Diego Lopez looked very good. I'm not taking anything away from Diego Lopez, but that was a fumble. That was you overextended yourself. You were showboating in the first round when you got taken down. You were just overconfident. Reel that in a little bit, and I think we will see an extremely Gene Silva, and a dangerous Gene Silva. And I've been looking at some of his Instagram posts and all those things. He seems to be taking this very serious. Hopefully, he learned a lot from that Diego Lopez fight. I think he has. I think he's very talented. I think he's very capable. I think he will be the next champ in this division. Not next, but like he will be a champ in this division. I think a rematch versus Diego Lopez would be fun. Maybe if Diego Lopez wins versus Volk, right? I think Gene Silva would probably need another one, get another win versus like a Lerone Murphy or a Evloev or something like that, and let's see a Gene or a I don't know, somebody, and let's see that Diego Lopez rematch. I think he would win dominantly, actually. Okay. I think Gene Silva's that good, man. He's very, very good. Okay, but he has to lock in. This listen, we can see moving forward, we can see Gene Silva either rise to the occasion or fall flat on his face. Either there's no in between. You either rise to the occasion because you're so good that that's the only direction that the UFC can go with you. You're that good. They can't just put you on like, oh, okay, we're a gatekeeper. No, you're too good for that. You see what I'm saying? So you either go in there and show how good you are versus Arnold Allen, or I think he's gonna mentally, he clearly doesn't, he's not the most stable mentally, obviously. So I think another loss to a guy like Arnold Allen might impact him mentally, man. May see a fall off in Gene Silva, but he's too good. I don't think that that's possible. I think we're gonna see him knock out Arnold Allen in the second round, and I think we're going to see him rise to the occasion, maybe get another dominant win soon by taking not that much damage versus Arnold Allen. I think he'll get another dominant win in like another 3 or 4 months, and then we will see him right back in the title mix. Yeah, but lock the fuck in, Gene Silva. Let's go, man. I hope you watch that Diego Lopez fight versus Volk and just I hope you've watched the Diego Lopez fight versus Gene Silva back, and I hope you've learned a valuable lesson because you are very, very, you are all world, my friend. So that's my rant. I've been ranting a lot on these fighters. A lot of my favorite fighters are on this card, man. A lot of my favorite fighters. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deiveson Figueiredo. There's no way a former champ in Deiveson, former two-time champ in Deiveson Figueiredo, a guy that's come up in the top five, top six, seven of the division, should be a minus 1400 versus Umar. Umar didn't even look that. Um, who did he just Mario Batista? He didn't even look that good in that fight. He really didn't even look that good in that fight. For him to be a minus 1400 is crazy. That doesn't even make sense. Like Umar is. I'm picking Umar to win this fight, but minus four. This is going to be a close fight. I think that Umar is going to win a very competitive 30-27, and what I mean by that is every round will be close, but I think that Umar is just going to have the advantage slightly in every round. I think Umar is stronger. I think he has better jiu-jitsu. I think the only thing I think Deiveson has is the power, and I think we'll see Deiveson land a couple shots here and there. I think that Deiveson has very good jiu-jitsu as well, so I don't think that Umar's going to be able to dominate him on the ground like that. Umar does have better wrestling. Actually, that's questionable too. I think Deiveson has good wrestling. On the feet, Deiveson has the power advantage. Umar has the footwork, tactical advantage, technical advantage on the feet. But for him to be minus 14 is outrageous. Even though I'm calling for a 30-27, and if let's say Deiveson drops him in a round, we might be looking at 29-28. But even if he wins that 30-27, I think it's going to be a close 30-27, meaning every round will be close. But Umar will just edge out every round, I think, by landing more significant strikes, by having more dominant positions on the ground. I think he's just better. He's gonna have better, more control time. But for him to be minus 1400 is fucking outrageous. I'm putting money on that. I'm putting money on Deiveson by KO because I just don't understand. This makes zero sense for him to be a minus 1400. Like that's crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? Deiveson is a former two-time champ. He's come up. He's gotten some very good. But even Montel Jackson when was very good. That was a gritty veteran decision. Had Deiveson, so the fight starts. Montel is like using his range well. Montel is landing, and Deiveson adjusts, gets the takedowns, mixes in the grappling, starts doing what needs to do to get the win. I know he got dominated by Corey, but you know, MMA math isn't a thing, man. That's not a thing. Styles makes fights. So for Umar to be minus 1400 is outrageous. But we're going with Umar in this fight. On to the next one. Ateba Gautier versus Audrey Pulyaev. Look, Audrey Pulyaev is good. He's rangy. In his last fight versus Klein, he used his range well. He beat the shit out of him from distance. I think Klein got like a takedown, and then after that, just got the Audrey Pulyaev just got back up and just beat the fuck out of him. But he's fighting Ateba Gatiuer, who's a fucking monster. This guy is going to be a problem in the middleweight division. Like, listen, let me tell you something right now. This division better pray that he doesn't figure out takedown defense. I am telling you right, there's nobody in this division. Let me think. Maybe Nasruddin can strike as good as this guy is. He's very polished. His striking is not just throwing power shots like an Ngannou or like an early Ngannou did. He is very, very polished, very technical, very, very straight punches. Doesn't overextend, doesn't loop into punches, doesn't lunge into punches. Ateba Gatiuer's striking might be the best in the division right now. Might be because he hasn't fought anybody. But you can see the setups are there. He hawks you down. He's giant for the division. Why for that? He's giant for the division. Pause. Um, minus 1,000. He even needs to be minus 1,400. The fact that he's not the biggest favorite on this card is insane. It is fucking insane because he is going to do Audrey Pulyaev fucking dirty. He's going to fuck him up badly in this fight. He's going to fuck him up badly. He's going to finish him in the first round. Okay? And I am telling you now, the middleweight division better pray he doesn't figure out takedown defense. Pray till the gods above. Because once this guy starts to break into the top 15, he's steamrolling guys. If the fight stays on the feet, he is knocking every single person out in the first round, second round. Because I don't know who's Kyle Barajo, RDR, DDP. Okay, Strickland. Maybe Strickland. Gregory Rodriguez, Joe Pyfer. I'm trying to think of guys that, maybe those guys with the power. But the thing about Ateba Gatiuer versus like a Joe Pyfer, Gregory Rodriguez, or CLD, guys like that, is that Ateba Gatiuer's way, like he's very technical, man. Straight punches, does not overextend. Distance management is fucking amazing. I think he has like an 81-inch reach. What's his reach? Let me look at his reach real quick. 81-inch reach. Guys, this is my prospect to watch this year, man. If he figures out takedown defense, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what, like, who, like, watch his fights. I know he's fighting nobodies, and I'm very interested to see how he does against a long rangy striker. But based on what I've seen so far, man, this guy is a problem for this division. And obviously he's very big, so like I want to see what it looks like when guys take him later in the rounds, and there's a lot left to figure out. I'm not gonna sit here and just jump on the Ateba Gatiuer bandwagon right away and say he's gonna be the champion. But what I am saying to you, as far as scared, like boogeyman type shit, this is the guy right now. More than Joe Pyfer, more than like anybody else in this division. This is the real boogeyman because if we figure out that he has a good gas tank and that he can stuff takedowns, I just, what do you do versus a Ateba guy? What do you do? The answer's fucking nothing, but like you're going to get knocked out. We have a guy that's extremely technical, tactical, extremely precise. No wasted movement in there. Watch this. There's no wasted. It's not. He's not throwing bombs unnecessarily. So that's gonna help his cardio. If he can take stuff takedowns, who right now can you say definitively, just based on what we've seen? And again, I know it's early. He hasn't fought anybody like that, so I shouldn't even be going this hard. But who has what he like? These guys aren't striking. Joe Piper's not striking with this guy. He's not. Even I, if I'm Izzy, if I'm Izzy, and they try to put Ateba Gatiuer in front of me, I'm retiring. I'm gonna be like, listen, why would you disrespect? I'm gonna just make. I'm going to say something like, okay, this is extremely disrespectful. You know, I'm one of the legends of the division, and you're gonna give me a no name like Ateba Gatiuer. I'm retiring. I'm pulling that shit. This guy is going to be a problem, man. He's going to be a real problem. I'm telling you now. If he I don't think cardio is going to be too much of an issue. He carries a lot of muscle, so it might be. But the fact that he doesn't necessarily overextend now, obviously, if someone grapples with him and it builds up lactic acids and is able to control him on the fence, which I think is going to happen at some point, and we're going to see if he's really like that, right? We're going to see if he's really like that once he fights a wrestler, someone that can really grapple with him. I think after the Audrey Pulyaev fight, um, you gotta start giving him grapplers because we need to find out what if this guy like I mean legit grapplers. You know what I'm saying? Because we need to find out if this guy is he's like that. We need to find out if he's like that because this can be what Ngannou should have been. So, anyways, on to the next one. Nikita Krylov versus Bukakis. Okay, Modestas Bukakis lost to Iron Geet Talaba is one of the most blatant robberies in the history of the sport. I don't know about blatant, but like he landed some good shots, but he was severely outstruck. I don't know how they gave him that fight. Like it really, he landed like a combination at the end of the second round that was like like a 1-2. Outside of that, he lost the second round. He clearly loses the first round. This third round was a little bit interesting because Iron slowed down a little bit, but that was a blatant robbery, dude. But he's fighting the Krylov, who's just not the same guy. Who got knocked the fuck out in his last fight. His last couple fights. Dominic Reyes knocked him out bad. Um, you know, this is an interesting one. I'm gonna go with the Modestas because Modestas does have KO power. I just think that Nikita Krylov, until he shows me that he could take a punch anymore, I don't know, man. Bogdan flatlines him. Reyes flatlines him, and these are all first round strikes. So he can't take a punch early. You know what I mean? So like until he proves that he could take a punch, I'm picking Modestas to win this fight by brutal first round KO as well. I think this will be a third. Listen, this is the decline of Nikita Krylov. At one point, everybody, he can beat Alex Pereira. He's the best in the division. He's the dark horse of the division. No, the fuck he's not. I've always saw the holes in his striking game. He throws looping shots. He's very good on the ground. Don't get me wrong. And I think that Nikita Krylov 4 or 5 years ago wins this fight easily. Even a Bogdan and a Dominic Reyes, he would give way more problems to 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, he's just not the same guy anymore. He took all that time off. We don't know what type of experiments were being ran on him, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say Modestas by brutal first round KO. Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson is going to knock Alex Perez into another world. See, listen, Alex Perez has been struggling with injuries. He's had to call off fights for seizures. We saw what Tatsuro Tara did to his knee. Asul Mabayev submitted him, caught him into. He was winning the fight until he got caught into. I think it was like a rear naked or like a I can't remember the choke exactly, but you know. He has a very good win over Mateus Nicolau, and Mateus Nicolau is no longer in the UFC. He was never really that good in the first place. Lost to Muhammad Makayev. Uh, he's fought the who's who. He's fought Deiveson. He's fought the ex-champ Pantoja. He's fought everyone. But I think that, at some point the injuries start to catch up to you. He's been out of so many fights because of injury. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, MMA gods aren't on his side because he should have won that. He would have won that Astro Mbaye fight had it not been for getting caught in that submission late in the third, I think it was. So I just, Charles Johnson Young beat the current champ right now. He's beat the current champ. He beat Loner Kavanaugh. Joshua Van's, that Joshua Van win. Somehow Joshua Van got propelled by that loss, and Charles Johnson had to fight a bunch of up and comers. Sumadirji, he had to fight the Tamirov, who tested positive for a banned substance, but still the win counts somehow. But then he comes back and he beats a Loner Kavanaugh, who's very, very good. I think Loner Kavanaugh will be the. I think at some point we'll see a Loner Kavanaugh versus a Joshua Van rivalry. At some point, I think Loner Kavanaugh is that good. I think he's going to be very good for the division. He's only like 24, but Charles Johnson goes in there and he's taking out these prospects. He's taking out these prospects, right? So Charles Johnson's very fast, very good takedown defense. Had a rough start to his career, but since in the last like what 5 or 6, just is putting together some incredible wins. Obviously, Joshua Van, he has a win over the champ. So yeah, I'm gonna go Charles Johnson by brutal, devastating knockout in this fight, in the second round. Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. This is a very hard one. Very, very hard one, man. Listen, let's look at it, right? Because Alex Hernandez, Bruno Ferreira, or Diego Ferreira, I mean, that's a good win, right? Diego Ferreira is a good win. Chase Hooper is a good win, but Chase Hooper's a fucking retard. Like, why are you trying to strike with Hernandez? Dive at his ankles. Like, that was really bizarre. That, Kurt Halabaugh, Hubbard's garbage. So, yeah, he's on a 4 fight win streak. Alexander Hernandez. Diego Ferreira, much older Diego Ferreira. Diego Ferreira who beat Michael Johnson brutally. Michael Johnson is also on a, kind of like a surgeons too. Zell Hoover was a very good win. That was a very good win because the thing about it was it wasn't one like where he just got a knockout out of nowhere like he did versus like a Dustin or like we've seen Michael Johnson do in his career. He gets those knockouts out of nowhere where you're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Versus a guy who we think is gonna beat him. It's not like it wasn't like that. He actually had a game plan where he broke Zellhuber down, landed the better shots, utilized his stand switches, his range, his reach to get a nice win versus Zellhuber, a decision victory versus Azatar. He hurt Zellhuber a few times too as well. So, you know, Michael Johnson is on somewhat of a resurgence. He's on a 3 fight win streak right now. The Zaitar knockout was insane. Yeah, so like, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say that I think Michael Johnson's gonna use his range well. I could see Alexander Hernandez chopping away at his legs and getting a win that way. But I'm gonna say he's gonna use his range well. I think he's gonna catch Alexander Hernandez at some point with something, and he's gonna put him away in the third. I'm gonna say third round KO. He's gonna come back from. He's probably gonna lose maybe the first round, or the first round will be close, or the second round will be close. He loses one round. They go into the third. Alexander Hernandez is starting to pull away, and I see Michael Johnson catching him with the right straight down the middle and putting not necessarily putting him away, but follow up shots to get the TKO victory. I'm going Michael Johnson by TKO. Josh Hokit versus Denzel Freeman. Josh Hokit gets on the mic with the American bandana, tells Walter Walker he's complete garbage after getting a brutal knockout. Josh Hokit's good. He has good wrestling. So does Denzel Freeman though. Denzel Freeman beat Jelly Roll. What's the guy's name? Asplund. I can't remember his first name, but he dominated him in that fight. And Asplund had one of the most a record breaking performance in his last fight. Asplund, who's a lot of people are already talking about, who's a contender in this, who has a future. A lot of people are saying has a future in this division. Um, so I think that in Denzel Freeman's last fight, he looked horrible. He looked like shit. Um, Stood there in front of the guy he was fighting. I can't remember his name. They did nothing. But I think that, yeah, I think that I'm gonna go ahead and put Josh Hokit, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Josh Hocket's gonna win this fight because I think that Josh Hokit, he's good on the feet. He's better on the feet, I think, and he has grappling ability, right? So he's not gonna just get blitzed through like Denzel Freeman did to Jelly Roll and taken down in this ground and pound into oblivion. I think that Josh Hockett's going to be able to stuff those takedowns, or if not stuff them, get back to his feet. I think he has a lot of power on the feet as well, more than Denzel Freeman, and I think he's going to put Denzel Freeman away in the first round, man. I don't think Denzel Freeman's good on the feet. He's not a good striker. He has no good setups. He's pretty bad on the feet, in my opinion. And he stood in front of the who did he fight again in his last fight? Bullhoge or something like that. I can't remember his name, but just stood in front of him, did nothing for 3 rounds. Somehow got a victory. So yeah, so I'm going Josh Hocket by brutal first round KO. On to the next, we got Ricky Turcios versus Cameron Smotherman. I want to say Ricky Turcios, man. Cameron Smotherman, like he's good, he's athletic, he's got boxing and all that stuff, but Ricky Simmons put it on him. I'm gonna pick Ricky Turcios. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pick Ricky Turcios because not only did Ricky Simmons put it on him, but also Sergey City. And the thing about it is that these guys use pace, and we know that Ricky Turcios is going to use pace versus Cameron Smotherman. So Cameron Smotherman might get a dominant first round victory, but I think as the fight goes on, we'll start to see Ricky Turcios take over and get a win, a much needed win. I think Cameron Smotherman will then lose 3 in a row, and we'll find out that he's not very good. Where when coming in, we thought he's gonna be very good. And yeah, so I'm going to go with Ricky Turcios by decision. I think he's going to have a come from behind decision win where his cardio is just going to take over. And we saw it in his last fight against Sopaj, where he was able to. We saw Sopaj literally gasping for air, literally gasping, like trying to catch his breath because of Ricky Turcios' cardio. So I think we're gonna see that, man. I think we're gonna see Ricky Turcios kind of take over in the second and third, and get the victory by decision. Adam Fugit versus Ty Miller. Adam Fugit's fucking garbage. He's not good. Like he's decent. Like you know what I mean? Doesn't have KO power like that. Is not a very good grappler like that. Doesn't have great striking like that. He's just not bad at those things, but he's like average at all those things. You know what I'm saying? Like he's literally average. We saw Dulatov just KO him badly. He got a win over Josh Quinlan, but Josh Quinlan's garbage. A lot of potential, but just fucking doesn't know how to put it together, obviously. Um, yeah, Adam Fugit's he's good, but he's not that good, man. He's just not that good. He's just very average everywhere. It's my assessment of him. Ty Miller. Now, Ty Miller gets taken down in a couple of his last fights. I've watched him get taken down. I watched him fight some guy on the regional scene or in another promotion, LFA, I think it was. And he was taken down and controlled, but he ended up getting the KO. He has very good boxing. He clearly has power. In his Contender Series fight, he didn't knock the guy out, but he won. I can't remember how he won, but I think that he's just better than Adam Fugit. Adam Fugit's not good. Like Ty Miller's he's a good boxer. He's a very good boxer. Good setups. He's rangy. He has power. If you can't take him down, you're going to struggle. He has a good cage cutting ability. He's a good stalker. He'll stalk you down and he will put you away. And I think that's what's going to happen to Adam Fugit. I think Adam Fugit's game, though, as far as like being able to weather the storm a little bit early, being able to take some damage early. I think, late second round, we'll see Ty Miller just it'll be too much. He'll just start to unload on him and just, I think Ty Miller gets a second round TKO. And that's all your boys got for this breakdown of this fight. Welcome back. We are back like we never left. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try and get videos out. I'm gonna do what I can, guys. Just kind of help support your boy. The more following I get, the bigger the more we grow the channel, the more I can get up on here and you can see your boy and we can interact, start going live. But right now life's just life, and you know what I'm saying, and I gotta kind of do what I gotta kind of do. So I can't really put out as much videos as I used to or I want to anymore. But I'm gonna try my best to come out, and just do more, So I love doing this. I watch every fight. I love the UFC. I train myself. I actually, I don't compete, but I do, Muay Thai. I actually roll or jujitsu. I wrestle. I do it all. So I'm not just on here talking shit. But I'm not no world beater, but I love this shit. So I'm gonna try my best to get back on you more, even so with the news that's going on. We start breaking down news, different things like that. So, what I'm saying? So, follow your boy, subscribe, like, comment, share. Let me know what you think about my breakdown. I know this video is a little bit longer, but I haven't been on here for a while, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit more today. We're doing new things with the no tooth thing. We'll see how long the no tooth thing lasts this year. I do have a temp, like I said earlier in the car. We'll see how long what we'll do with the headband. We got the ponytail now. You know what I'm saying? So, some new things coming into the new year. Um, yeah, but all love, man. Listen, please, I really want to know what you guys think. Until next time.